We're discussing the White House is joining the Biden campaign in pushing back against recent video clips going viral that make President Biden look as though he's confused during public events and other appearances. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre blasted the use of the misleading videos, which are edited to make the president look bad and then circulated by right-wing media and allies. Take a look.
They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith, and some of your news organization have been very clear, have stressed that these the right-wing critics of the president have a credibility problem because of the fact checkers have repeatedly caught them pushing misinformation, disinformation. I think that it tells you everything that we need to know about how desperate Republicans are here. Instead of talking about the president's performance in office, and what I mean by that is his legislative wins, what he's been able to do for the American people across the country, we're seeing these deep fakes, these manipulated videos, and it is, again, done in bad faith.
Wow. That's all they've got.
The Republican accounts circulating many of the clips responded, claiming the videos are unedited and promised to keep posting them.
A lie.
And also just, if something is unedited, it's really one angle, lies. Not showing the whole story.
How about this, Mia? They lie about their lies, which of course you would expect liars to lie about their lies.
Oh, I mean, we're talking about Trump.
But they're lying about their cheap fake. They're not
Washington Post.
By the way, I got to say this one more time. They're only helping Joe Biden. They're only lowering expectations. They do it before every State of the Union address. And then afterwards, they're so freaked out that Biden did well, they say he must have been on cocaine.
All right, guys. So once again, we got to talk about the desperation from the mainstream liberal media. We are yet again in another psyop from the media to try to make people believe that reality isn't real, okay? You should not believe what you are seeing, okay? Biden is not mentally deteriorating. He is as sharp as ever. Now, we all know that when the Democrats say jump, the liberal media says how high. It doesn't matter what the subject is. It doesn't matter how much it discredits the media to peddle the lies of the Democrat Party. They're going to do it anyways because, again, they're an arm of the Democrat Party. They are an arm of the state, okay? And stories like this about Joe Biden's clear and obvious cognitive decline and the fact that the mainstream liberal media continues to try to tell people that that's not what you're saying, even though that's exactly what we're saying, is an example of what I'm talking about, okay? Because these people are trying to say that, well, no, it is the right wing and conservatives and all the people that can clearly see that Biden's declining. You people are lying, okay? That video that we saw of Biden getting lost, freezing up, and Obama grabbing his hand to carry him off the stage, right? That's not real, okay? You didn't really see what you saw, okay? It is a deceptionally edited video, according to the media, except the Democrats are the ones that put out a deceptionally edited video to make sure people didn't see that Obama was grabbing Joe Biden's hand to carry him off stage, which is just not a good look for the commander-in-chief, okay? No matter how you try to spin it, that video makes Biden look old and senile, okay? But according to the media, you didn't see the video that you actually saw, right? And again, that is what's extremely frustrating about this. But more so than anything, it is downright scary, okay? It is downright scary that we live in a time where reality for the mainstream liberal media is not real, okay? And again, it's one thing for these people to lie about inflation or the border or crime, but to lie about something that quite literally everybody can see is right in front of your face, okay? It's like telling us that, again, the sky is red when the sky is blue, right? We can see the sky is blue. No, the sky is red. That's the level of propaganda that's coming from the mainstream liberal media at this point, okay? And it really is extremely disturbing. But with that being said, the good thing is that I think most people, when you look at the polls, specifically independents, those are the people who matter the most, can see that, hey, Biden is declining, okay? And he has issues upstairs, and it's a problem. And you have people like Piers Morgan, who is going to have this debate with Tommy Lauren, Cenk Yeager, and Brian Tyler Cohen, who is a propagandist for the Democrat Party. Okay. And Piers Morgan is going to give the Democrat Party propagandists and the Trump deranged Cenk a brutal reality check on Trump versus Biden in this idea that Biden is totally fine while Trump is the person that we need to worry about when it comes to his mental fitness. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Spin it. Brian Tyler Cohen. I mean, look, I'm not MAGA. I'm not Republican. I'm not right wing. I'm a kind of old fashioned liberal of the Bill Maher variety, who also has been expressing his concern about what is happening with Joe Biden. So to dismiss it all when people point out what's going on with Biden as just a MAGA plot is demonstrably untrue.
Piers, thank you for having me, first of all. Second of all, I was literally in the room. I was there. I was at that event at the Peacock Theater at LA Live. Joe Biden was doing what he always does, which is just waving at the crowd. He has a long history of working rope lines ad nauseum during the State of the Union. He was in that room talking to people so long that the C-SPAN cameras literally turned off. And that's what he was doing on that stage. He was just waving at people who were waving back at him, to the point where Barack Obama came around and just put his arm around Joe.
He just put his arm around Joe. He didn't grab Joe's hand and carry him off stage. Again, you see how these propagandists spin this? He leaves out a key detail that people are talking about, which is Obama grabbing his man's hand. Okay, clearly telling Joe, hey, Joe, it's time to go. Right? Party's over, Joe. Okay, let's go. Which, again, is not something that we should see happen to the commander-in-chief. Right? The commander-in-chief should not be coddled and carried around like he's disabled. But that is what's happening to Joe Biden. And again, when these people try to explain it, they always leave out the key details that people are talking about and pointing out as, yeah, that's concerning.
His own vice president, and they walked off stage together, probably because Barack Obama had less of an interest in staying and waving at the crowd as long as Joe Biden did. But this is who Joe Biden is. With that said, I understand why people like Tommy Lahren and the right more broadly have a vested interest in perpetuating this idea that Joe Biden is in the throes of cognitive decline.
Yeah, but I don't have one, Brian. I don't have that vested interest. In fact, I've only ever had one. I had one conversation with Joe Biden in my life. After Beau Biden died in 2015, I wrote a column saying he was a fantastic guy, used to come on my show a lot at CNN, and how sad it was and that America may have lost, without even knowing it, someone who could have been one of the great presidents of the country. I really felt Beau was on a fast track to the top, but it was a tragedy. And I had an amazing call from Joe Biden out of the blue. But I can tell you two things. In that conversation, he was incredibly open and honest with me about it all. It went on for about 15 minutes. But he was also lucid. He was eloquent. He was articulate. And it was a perfectly normal conversation. It bore no relation to what Joe Biden now talks like or acts like when I see him in public. And I would go back even further, and I would say this is more unsettling, which is in 1986, there's a clip on YouTube where Joe Biden's a senator, and he gives an absolutely ferocious onslaught against apartheid in South Africa in a Senate hearing. And it was all televised. And if you compare that man to what we now see and hear, there is literally no comparison. It is clear evidence before you that this fast-talking, eloquent, loquacious, fiercely intelligent senator from 86 is now a shadow of that man. And I don't say that gleefully. Like I say it sadly, but it's obvious.
Piers, everybody ages. Joe Biden has obviously aged.
But we're not all president of the United States. Are we?
Is he as fast as he used to be? Of course not. But here's what I would offer in rebuttal to that is we're sitting here wondering if Joe Biden has the ability to do the job that he is literally doing right now and doing more effectively than any president in our lifetime.
Why is his poll rating so terrible then?
Piers, is he too old to have added 15 million jobs to the economy? Is he too old to have reached our stock market to a record high? Is he too old to have brought inflation down to its target 3%? Is he too old to have brought wages up to exceed inflation? Is he too old to have signed the American Rescue Plan, the Inflation Reduction Act, the gun safety bill? All of these things, he is this old.
If he's so great.
Wow. Okay, you hear this level of propaganda? Well, is Biden too old to have signed the American Rescue Plan? Well, yeah, I mean, you know, if that's how low you want to set the bar for Joe Biden, go ahead, right? But all these things this guy is bragging about aren't things that are actually tangibly benefiting Americans. Like, for example, when these people come out here and talk about Biden created 15 million jobs, first of all, that's a lie. Biden did not create 15 million jobs, right? That is not true. Also, on top of that, again, that job creation in and of itself, because it is mostly due to government spending and government jobs, is not good for the economy and growth, which is why we're experiencing stagflation right now, okay? Biden has not brought down inflation to the 2% target, okay? The target is 2%. You know, where we were at before Biden took office and then immediately after Biden took office, inflation started to skyrocket. No, we're not at that point yet, okay? We're not at that point. And you know what's so also funny about these leftists? Okay, when the stock market is doing good under Trump, which it was hitting record highs under Trump, okay, they'll say, oh no, well, that's just how the rich are doing. That's disconnected from how normal, everyday, average people are doing. You can't cite the stock market. But yet when the stock market is doing good under Joe Biden, now all of a sudden they want to point to the stock market as an indicator of how normal, everyday, average people are doing. Right? It's just funny how that works, okay? When the stock market is doing good under Republicans, oh, that's evil. That's just how the rich are doing. But under Biden, all of a sudden, oh, that's not how it works, okay? The stock market being up apparently is an indication of how everyday, normal, average Americans are doing. Again, it's just so funny how these people spin their propaganda. But again, they lie while doing so, but then they'll turn around and say that you're the liar, okay? You're the one spreading misinformation, disinformation, as they are doing what they're accusing everybody else of doing, right? It's so funny.
Great. Why is his approval rating at a record low? Why is he now losing in most polls in almost all the swing states? And why are alarm bells? Well, I'd say 1/3 thing. Why are 2/3 of Democrats also of the belief he's too old to carry on with the job? And when you put all that together, why do you want him to run? It might be the only way you lose.
Because he's a puppet. That's why. Because he can be controlled. And that is why Democrats want to stick with Joe Biden. Okay? Because Biden's not running anything. Biden's not accomplishing anything. All these things that this guy just cited don't really have anything to do with Biden as much as it has to do with his handlers. Okay? His handlers tell Biden, hey, this is what you support. This is what you should sign. And Biden goes out and he does that. Right? Biden is an empty suit at this point.
Respectfully, Piers, I would argue that the reason that this is such a top of mind issue is because we have media like this right now, like Fox News in the United States, like Newsmax, like OAN,
but I'm not right wing.
This idea relentlessly.
I'm not right wing, Brian. That's your problem. The Achilles heel is I'm literally not conservative. Everybody knows that. So you can say shows like this, but I'm literally
we're having this conversation.
I'm not on the right,
Piers,
so it doesn't work.
Piers, we're having this conversation, and this conversation is that drum is beat relentlessly in the United States because it's used as a distraction to not talk about the accomplishments.
All right, let me go to...
Bro, what accomplishments are there to talk about? Seriously. If you want to talk about the actual results, okay, then that's not a conversation that Democrats want to have either, right? This is why Democrats would much rather talk about abortion. They much rather talk about racism and Trump, which are all distractions from the current state of the country, which is terrible. But again, this guy is trying to blame the right-wing media for basically vast majority of people in this country believing that Joe Biden is mentally unfit, okay, including, I believe, at least 1/4 the Democrats, according to a recent CBS poll. So again, you know, when you look at the landscape of the mainstream media, it is liberal, right? I mean, all of these networks outside of Fox News are liberal. So you're trying to tell me that, well, the reason why people believe this, a majority of American people believe this, is because they're all watching Fox News? When again, a vast majority of the media is overwhelmingly left. They are pro-Biden, okay? They refuse to tell the truth about what's happening to Biden. No, it's because people can see with their own two eyes what is happening, and no amount of propaganda, no amount of spin is going to convince people that Joe Biden isn't mentally declining. It's really that simple.
Cenk, you've been waiting patiently.
Okay, Piers, I would...
Yeah, Tommy, quickly, yeah.
Piers, I would just want to interject real quickly because I have to say this. Brian, there is nothing I would love more than for the Democrats to stick with Joe Biden as their nominee.
Facts.
I have no dog in this
Facts.
fight. I hope you guys run Joe because I think he's the easiest candidate to beat. So when you say, oh, it's us that are trying to make it seem like he's old. No, if you leave the guy in, it's much easier for my guy to beat him. Okay. I think what the writing on the wall is you're going to swap him out. You being the Democrat Party are going to swap him out. I'm far more concerned about a different Democrat being the nominee against Donald Trump. I hope that Joe Biden is your nominee. So any dog that you think I have in this fight of beating the drum that he's old, no, Brian, I just have eyes and ears and I am lucid enough to understand what I'm seeing. I just wanted to make that point.
Okay. Cenk, I mean, I think you and we've talked about this before. This has to be a concern, doesn't it, for America?
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually very depressing on a number of fronts, including that my side, the Democrats, have now become like MAGA. Sorry, Brian, I love you. I think you're a great guy, super smart. You lay out your case as well as anybody can lay it out. But
no, he doesn't, because he's lying, right? Lying is not laying out a case, okay? But here you have Trump deranged Cenk, who's going to, of course, try to create some false equivalency between Biden and Trump. This is what he's going to try to do.
We do all have eyes and ears, and the Democrats are starting to look like MAGA, denying that, that MAGA says, oh, Trump won the election in 2020. You have to be a lunatic to believe that. But if you think that Joe Biden is a secret dynamo behind the scenes, as the Democrats claim, you got to be borderline lunatic to believe that. No, the guy is in terrible, terrible shape. And if he has dementia, they get more stubborn. And so what if he digs in and he's like, I don't care. And his mind is actually affected by the ailments that we're seeing with our own eyes. So the Democrats have become so authoritarian that they're like, oh my God, what if Bernie Sanders wins? What if a progressive wins? Let's all bow our head to the mad king. And that's what he is at this point. So we have two mad kings running. One's a moron to begin with. Donald Trump's one of the dumbest people who's ever been in political office. And now his brain is melting too. He's saying, oh, you do look at Joe Biden, he has dementia. My doctor, Ronnie Johnson, he told me it's Ronnie Jackson, you idiot.
Yeah,
so
but Cenk,
we have two blithering morons
Cenk, on
and
that
people
point,
that are affected by mental ailments running for office.
But Cenk, here's
it's
the
a
difference.
deeply embarrassing moment for America.
Here's the difference. I've watched a lot of Trump recently. He rang me a couple of months ago. We had a long chat. And he sounded completely normal, exactly the same as he sounded when I did Celebrity Apprentice back in 2008. Honestly, he could have been exactly the same guy. Trump's never had a drink, never had a cigarette, never had a drug. For all that people think of him, he's still basically the same guy he's always been. Now, he free rolls.
I don't think so.
Well, hang on. Well, he free rolls in the way he speaks. And you can go back and watch him. I used to watch him over the boardroom on Apprentice night after night. And he'd say lots of stuff, and some of it wouldn't stack up to a fact check, and some of it didn't sound quite right. But I would say there's been no cognitive decline in Trump, that he's always been basically the same kind of guy. He's a little bit older, but when you think he's only 3 years younger than Biden, my God, I mean, the difference between the two of them. And as I thought Bill Ackman, the very good point he made, Warren Buffett's in his 90s. And he doesn't sound anything like the way Joe Biden does. It's not about his age; it's about his mental acuity. And I just think I tell you when the chickens come home to roost for everybody trying to defend this or trying to make some equivalence with Trump. June the 27th, these two guys are going to get on a stage in a live television debate that will break all records, I think, for ratings, probably around the world. And you know what's going to happen over 90 minutes, however long it is? Donald Trump is going to take Joe Biden to pieces, and it's going to be utterly, utterly humiliating for the president because he has been protected so carefully in his term of office from this kind of thing. And when he gets exposed, honestly, Cenk, I think it's going to be utterly humiliating, and Trump will destroy it.
Well,
yeah, I 100% agree with that. Piers is right on the money, okay? Because what Cenk is trying to do, and he's trying to do what Joe Scarborough and the rest of the liberal media is trying to do, but Cenk is slightly more honest about it in the sense that he's acknowledging that Biden actually has problems. But where Cenk is wrong is that they're trying to conflate Trump occasionally mixing up the name of some random person. Again, you got to understand, somebody like Trump comes across new people every day, just like Joe Biden as well too, right? They both do, okay? Yes, Trump sometimes will get names mixed up, But there's a difference between occasionally getting names mixed up when you speak all the time and you're speaking off the cuff. You're not using a teleprompter. You're just speaking off the cuff and you're doing it for hours straight every day, right? This is what Trump does. And you occasionally get one name mixed up. You occasionally may get one thing wrong, whatever, right? There's a difference between that and Joe Biden. Joe Biden is lacking awareness. He doesn't understand what's actually happening around him, and that is the problem. Joe Biden occasionally getting a word wrong, okay, is not the problem. The problem is that Joe Biden clearly is declining cognitively to the point where you have to question whether or not he even knows what's going on. And that is one of the most important attributes, if not the most important attribute of being president of the United States, because if you're not aware, then you can't make decisions, right? Your job as president of the United States is to make decisions, right? And if you can't make decisions, if you don't have the ability to do that, then you don't have the ability to be commander in chief, period, right? I don't care how you spin it. I don't care, what else you say. Joe Biden does not seem to be aware, on top of all the other things as well too, right? The fact that he clearly is having issues with his memory, according to the DOJ, Robert this guy can't even stand trial because of his memory issues. That's how old and senile he is. That is a problem. How in the world can we have somebody in the White House that can't even stand trial because of his cognitive abilities? It doesn't make sense. But like Piers said, and I've said this before as well too, these people can spend all the propaganda they want. But on the debate day, the world is going to be able to see the difference between Trump and Biden, and it's not going to be close. It's not going to be close. People are going to see there's no equivalency here. Trump is just operating at a much higher speed than Joe Biden. And if Joe Biden has a Mitch McConnell moment, which he's on the verge of having a Mitch McConnell moment, okay, he is on the verge, I'm telling you. If he happens to have a Mitch McConnell moment on that debate stage, CNN, they're going to try their best to revive this man, okay? They're going to try their best to save him, but he can't be saved. It's going to be over. It's going to be humiliating. And you know who will be humiliated the most? Not just Joe Biden, but all these Democrats and all these liberal media propagandists that came out here and told the world that nothing's wrong with Joe Biden. He's as sharp as ever, leading up to Biden humiliating himself to the point where nobody can deny it. Okay, I'm interested to see how the media will say that a CNN debate clip is a cheap fake, right? That is fake news, that it don't really exist, that you didn't see what you thought you saw, you didn't hear what you thought you heard. Yeah, we'll see. But again, Piers Morgan here, brutal reality check for the Trump deranged Cenk and the Democrat Party propagandists, Brian Tyler Cohen, who, again, clearly believes that his audience is dumb, right? If you believe that there's nothing wrong with Joe Biden. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.